President Park Geun-hye has nominated Moon Chang-guk, the former editor-in-chief of the JoongAng Daily, to be her new prime minister, and Lee Byung-gi, the current ambassador to Japan, to head the National Intelligence Service. Presidential Office correspondent Choi Yu-sun went over the details. A new prime minister nominee has been named nearly 2 weeks after the president's first nominee, An Dae-hee, withdrew. Presidential Office spokesperson Min Kyung-wook said that the nominee's integrity as a journalist was highly valued and said he will bring about reforms in public services with his insight and drive. The newly named nominee for the head of the National Intelligence Service, Lee Byung-gi, the current ambassador to Japan, is a career diplomat who spent time as the deputy head of the Agency for National Security Planning. A new prime minister nominee was named after a lot of consideration, and it looks like a reshuffle of the cabinet and presidential office will take place soon.
최유선, 아리랑 뉴스.
Korea's job market is looking like it's taking a turn for the worse. Finance correspondent Hwang Ji-ae told us more about the situation. The nation's statistics office made an announcement on employment tendencies for May, reporting that the number of employed people stood at almost 26 million. That is up by about 413,000 compared to May of last year, but still marked 3 straight months of slowing job employment. The statistics office said that the deadly ferry disaster in April had a definite effect on the job market. The much-anticipated 2014 Brazil World Cup has kicked off. The opening game of the World Cup was held at 5 a.m. on June 13th, Korean time. South Korea is in Group H with Russia, Algeria, and Belgium. Korea's first match against Russia will start at 7 a.m. on June 18th. The next match will be held against Algeria at 4 a.m. on June 23rd, and the third at 5 a.m. on the 27th against Belgium. You can bet that Korea's ardent football fans will be pulling all-nighters to watch the games.
아리랑 뉴스.
Her name is synonymous with Korean classical music. It's the Empress of the Violin, Chung Kyung-hwa. She bewitches everyone with her technique and arrangements. She has returned to us once again after overcoming a finger injury, and she is here to tell everyone how music can heal the soul. An ardent fan of Chung Kyung-hwa, Arirang TV's cultural correspondent Park Ji-won had a chance to tell her story.
Violinist Chung Kyung-hwa is Korea's legendary violinist. So her music legacy of nearly 50 years of professional music career is just uncomparable to any other musicians that Korea had before. So the reason was always there to interview her because she's always a legendary violinist of Korea.
Ji-won is at SK Chemicals to meet Chung Kyung-hwa. A mini concert will be held at the concert hall for the employees of SK Chemicals.
인터뷰는 어디서 하는 게? 근데 저희 그 피아니스트가 언제부터 연습을 하죠?
예상은 2시부터 원래 하시기로 돼 있어서. 아니 근데 저희가 미리 양해를 구하고서 인터뷰가 좀 기신가요? 한 어느 정도?
15분 정도면 충분합니다.
그럼 뭐 얘기할까?
She arrives early and uses the extra time to set up the camera. Ji-won must complete the interview within the appointed time, so she repeatedly runs over her script.
오늘 그 세월호 그 위로곡을 연주한다는 거는 지금 여긴 없는 거죠?
내용은 바람대요.
내용은 바람대요.
Ji-won has diligently prepared for her story on Chung Kyung-hwa.
주제별로 조금 나뉘는데 뭐 악기 얘기랑 뭐 그다음에 근데 중간에 선배님께서 위치 바꿔도 돼요. 왜냐면 어차피 저희가 사운드 바이트가 짧게 들어가니까 그럼 그렇게 할게요. 시작할 때 앞에 2개 정도는 이제 악기나 선생님 어떤 그 인기가 많은 어떤 그 바이올린 플레이의 특징 같은 얘기를 시작하고요. 그 다음에는 음악적인 지난 얘기를 조금 하고 이제 올해 스케줄이나 내년 목표 이렇게 쪼갤게요.
At long last, renowned violinist Chung Kyung-hwa arrives.
저희가 예전에 대관령 국제음악제 갔을 때 2년 전에도 잠깐 인터뷰를 따긴 땄었는데 말씀하실 때는 제 시선 맞습니다.
I need to look at you.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I read your article and you said you were mesmerized with the sound of violin, you know, from the moment that you first picked up the instrument. So could you tell us what particular tone of the violin sound that you liked?
What I loved about the violin when I started, when I was 6, was the freedom that I can keep the instrument. It became like a part of my body. And it also presented a voice. And so from then on, it became very pure fascination for me.
Oh, well, critics and your fans say the sound of your violin is very passionate, sensitive, dynamic, yet still it has some reserved feeling inside. And is it your character reflected in your playing?
All of us have different voice. It's a reflection of one's personality. It has to convey the message. So this is my way of sending a message.
We had an interview at a small concert hall, and there was a piano, and she was supposed to sit there. But I was a little concerned because she's a violinist, and if she sits in front of the piano, and it would give some wrong impression that, you know, to the viewers who don't know her. But fortunately, when she came out, and surprisingly, she brought her violin. I mean, we really couldn't ask her to bring her violin because knowing that she's a, you know, legendary violinist, and we really couldn't tell her to bring this or that. But without us asking to do that, she herself voluntarily carried her violin, meaning that she really thought about us, you know, how she would look in the camera, and she knows that she has to carry her violin to give the best impression that she is the world's one of the greatest violinists. We were grateful that she carried her violin with her during the whole interview time.
With Chung Kyung-hwa thoughtfully holding her violin, the overall atmosphere of the interview was soft and relaxed.
Wow. And I also read your article that you were most prone to like the sound of like cello or viola as you get old.
One's conception of the sound changes as one grows older, and it's the same thing of any artist. And for me, when I was young, Stradivarius had my instrument had a brilliance. And I started to look for something of a deeper sound. I'm not saying Stradivarius doesn't have a deeper sound. It's magnificent. But Guarneri, with the Guarneri, I found different depth, which I was looking for. It's not a single voice I am looking for now. It is harmonious voice. And within that, as you grow older, what's important is inner harmony. And so last summer I was performing at GMMF, and someone says to me, "Oh my goodness, that sounds like viola." And I was thrilled because, my voice became wider.
Oh, that was great. 선생님 잠깐만 각도 바꿔서 가겠습니다. 각도 바꿀까요?
카메라만 조금만.
네.
In order to provide more diverse shots for the article, various camera angles are used during the interview.
1734 it was made. 그럼 1734면 어떻게 되냐? 280년인가?
네.
80년이 됐어. 아유, happy 280th birthday.
That would be an honor of this violin as well, to be played by you.
No, not at all. It's my privilege that I am able to play this during my performing life. So.
네, 들어가고 있습니다, 선생님.
And I also read an article from your brother saying that you are the most special violinist he ever heard. He still thinks that you're...
He better say that.
Yeah, I mean, he said several times in previous interviews. So, I mean, as a fan of both of yours, I was thinking, wow, I mean, still they really cherish each other. So that was so good to see. And you actually began career with Chung Trio members. How does it feel like to share this like long, successful careers with your, very close loved ones?
We had shared so closely music. Our voice became so harmonized. And so to realize possibly a trio performance is not as easy as what people think. You need to prepare it with a great detail, great dedication, put a lot of time into it, and that is the difficulty to find.
The interview is going smoothly, just like Jiwon intended.
Close contact, watch each other's activities, and give each other great support.
A rehearsal took place after the interview. Chung Kyung-hwa considerately consents to the filming.
I don't know how to match the sound. Oh, that's better.
Kevin Kenner plays the piano. Chung Kyung-hwa has been with him since the Great Mountains Music Festival. A charity music recital is held at the Seoul Art Center on June 13th. And in August, Chung Kyung-hwa will visit Rwanda to support children there. There are 4 hours left until the concert. The practicing and rehearsing will run non-stop until then. The violin empress is very passionate, and it's hard to believe that she's already in her mid-60s. Rehearsals aren't normally open to the public, but Jiwon was lucky enough to capture it on camera.
And it was my very first time seeing her playing during a rehearsal. So I really couldn't explain how I felt during the time. I was just so happy as a violin fan. But at the same time, I was sorry a little because it's the time that she has to really focus on her practicing and rehearsing. But because our photographers and cameramen probably was a little bit of, you know, they wouldn't feel really comfortable with these cameras around, but there was something that we had to sacrifice. And so I was a little sorry that we had to film her during her very private rehearsals. But at the same time, as a reporter, our viewers can see her playing during rehearsals, so I was happy.
The interview was successful, and Jiwon returns to the office. Now she has to prepare a news package to be aired during the morning newscast the next day. She has some time, but concentrates on writing up her article. She now has to look over the video footage and choose what will be used.
이제 오늘 찍은 거 나 이렇게 딱 붙여놓은 거거든.
멋있어, 선배님. 리액션 같은 거 좀 길게랑 또 연주 부분도 제가 볼 때는 그냥 여기서 좀 길게씩만 붙여주시면
오케이.
네, 딱 좋아요. 시작할 때 이거 같이 가서 우리가 어디 있다 현재를 보여주고 과거에 이제 그 젊었을 때 이런 모습들을 하고 그리고 명동성당 심지어 그 체리티 콘서트 하는 것도 있고. So there were a lot of good sound bites, but we really couldn't use them all. So that took me a lot of time choosing which part of the soundbite I had to use for the news package. I've used video footages of her past performances, and when she plays the music, it's really hard to cut into like 5 or 6 seconds because viewers at least want to listen. So that also I really had a hard time.
The day is almost over. Jiwon talks with the editor about her article.
I could take this out. I can cut this down a little too. I haven't had time to do your opening, but I could cut that down a little. But just this part, and I think
Ji-won has 2 minutes on air. She feels slightly upset about the short amount of time she has because there's much she wants to say.
Korean classical music legend Chung Kyung-hwa, who's been leading...
Ji-won hopes that her news package will be appreciated by the fans who love Chung Kyung-hwa and for those who watch the news.
박지원, 아리랑 뉴스.
It's late at night, but Ji-won hasn't completed editing her report yet.
길이가 저희 그 이분 그거 하기에는 너무 영어로 다 말씀을 해주셨는데 좀 살리고 싶은 게 많아서 약간 피처성이고 인터뷰 패키지라 그러면 리포트 길이를 2분 반에 맞춰볼게요. 네, 알겠습니다. 네.
Perhaps Ji-won is as passionate as Chung Kyung-hwa. Now that she's given an extra 30 seconds of airtime, she looks over the video footage and re-edits it. Ji-won's passion for the story and her appreciation of Chung Kyung-hwa are evident.
And our cultural reporter Park Ji-won was very lucky to have the chance to sit with her for a chat, and they talked about her 5 decades in the classical music business.
The experience was slightly disappointing for cultural correspondent Park Ji-won, as she feels she still has a lot more to tell about Chung Kyung-hwa.
This instrument is so human. Once I've been in touch with Guarnerius,
but it's also sure to become a lasting memory for her, since she met someone she's looked up to since she was a child.
박지원, 아리랑 뉴스. I have met her before during my report package on Great Mountains Music Festival, which she co-directs with her sister cellist Chung Myung-hwa. But it was my first time to sit with her for about 15 minutes and talked about her music career. So I was really happy, excited, thrilled, but at the same time really nervous to meet one of the great musicians of Korea.
Given the importance of Korea's exports to China, any changes in the country's exports to China is a matter of concern for us. After reports that Korean exports to China recently dropped fairly significantly, we have to find out how serious the situation is.
In China, the growth rate has been coming down for more than 3 or 4 years. Economic democracy is a constitutional concept. Very high talented, high caliber potential, the driver of the hidden champion. So, well, it's not actually Korea is imitating, but just the Korean economy has to compete in the global market. 중국에 수출하는 게 전체 우리나라 수출의 4분의 1이니까 주 고객이지. 우리의 주된 고객이고 미국보다도 2배 정도 많이 수출하니까 중국에. 중국이 감기가 들면 우린 독감 걸리는 거죠.
So this 9% decline, it's a huge deal, is it?
Yeah, and it might go down to the negative. Maybe the latter half of this year and probably first half of next year too.
So that's bad news for Korea's exporters.
Yeah, storm is coming.
So in terms of the Chinese economy then, what is the problem there?
They have been growing so fast. Okay, so naturally the growth rate has to fall down. Second thing is, the yuan has been so strong. And global economy has been slow for more than 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Because about half of Chinese economic growth is coming from global economy. right? And so the global economy is not picking up. So naturally, you know, the Chinese export has to come down.
So what needs to be done then?
We can't change, you know, Chinese economy, right?
Right.
So it is out of our capacity. So the only thing that we can do is, you know, the Korean currency. Korean currency has to depreciate a little bit, and also we have to conduct very active, you know, policy in terms of interest rate and a lot of, you know, the budgetary policy. But it might not be easy for the country to.
Some think tanks have been coming up with a growth outlook for Korea, at like you know, high 3% range, even 4%.
You know, this Sunday, you know, I wrote a little article upon that. You know, KDI, Bank of Korea, you know, at the end of last year, they projected the growth rate is over 3.7%, 3.8%. You know, nobody expected that high. You know,
really?
So there should be some people, you know, who should be responsible because, you know, they had projected too high growth rate, right? And then all of a sudden, you know, it didn't turn out that way, right? So now they are revising their forecast, but it just is less than 6 months, right? They just projected that the November last year, and it passed about half a year, and they had to change it. I think it's unthinkable for them to make that kind of mistake.
All right, well, I'll be upstairs soon. We'll discuss this and in the studio.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you to be the host, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
See you later.
Okay. 지난주에 실시간 토론 1시간 40분 했는데.
That is fine. That's good. I think that's right.
Now, Korean exports last month suffered their worst decline in 8 months as a drop in Chinese demand. Of course,
9% decline is not unnatural. The key factor is the quality, the contents of our exports to China. This year will be, you know, in my opinion, it will be worse than last year. 3.5%, 3.8%, depending on the institutions. But it came out that, you know, the first quarter.
우리가 이렇게 스크립트를 써줘도 그것대로 가는 게 아니고 막 이렇게 막 움직이니까 재밌기도 하고. That's exciting.